for this preview only. I don't have enough good pistols to really use it. But Ranger Deadeye's by far my favorite one. I used them as an epic version for about 70% of the game, all the way up until the Candy Valley's, probably about the 64 zone. Just before then. And he's got plus 24% pistol damage, 70% crit chance, or crit damage, sorry, 70% crit chance would be ridiculous. Crit ratings increased by 18, that used to be a bit higher if I remember right. 24%. Changed it with their last update to crit rating. Full decked out. Should go with the hat here. Take that off. I'm just gonna do a run through of the defenses, just so you can see what it's like. Everything's really complicated, and missing one or two pieces might actually be the difference between winning or losing. So I thought I would give a very detailed description here. I did notice with my Storm Shield Defense 9 that if I was standing in the wrong square, which would be, you know, one or two squares over even, it would be the difference between losing my entire base and maybe barely beating it, or losing none of my base and flawlessly beating it. Like there's a big difference in positioning. There's a big difference in where you have your buildings set up. As well as where to reinforce, where to not reinforce, just so that everybody paths properly. Of course, the other benefit to playing Ranger Deadeye is that he is an Outlander, so he can get in the zone. And if I need to adjust anywhere that
We're ready to expand
see
again.
fit as I look over anything,
When you're ready to start the fight,
be able to do
select
that.
Expand Shield from the Storm Shield console.
I just want to quickly give a real big shout out to my friend Metal. I won't say his gamer tag just because he might like his privacy, but he did a great job helping me test out my Storm Shield defense last night, because I did have some problems with Wave 3. For those who tuned in to watch me do it live yesterday at noontime on Saturday, I had big difficulties with Amplifier I over there. That's where my third wave comes from. It came from a completely different direction. I had to figure out why. I did eventually figure that out. It's because when I first tested it out, I had failed on it, so it switched directions. So I adjusted to the new direction, and that's all it is. As long as you don't fail on it, then it won't change directions on you. As we get into here, I'm not too worried about replacing these traps because this is kind of a safe zone. If I stand up here, it's actually really easy for me to swap these traps out as we go along. These I will need to swap out as the defense goes along. Probably some of these dynamos as well. It will be very hairy because these are 140 enemies, 140 blasters. I did get rid of my wall here that had a wall dart. I really don't need the extra damage on them. Contemplating even getting rid of that, but this can take out a lot of the small husk, which can be a big problem when I'm going to reset the trap, so I'm just kind of keeping it there for now. Actually, I want to test out if I have the squares for it. Oh, it's not in there yet. The Fortnite devs came out with a small YouTube video today that went over putting floor traps on stairs. I'm not sure if that will double up for angled walls as well. I guess I can test that out as well. Nope. Maybe I need to be on it. Negative. That was me. Alright. A big thing to watch out for on this one. Got some lag spikes here. So you'll notice I have lots of wall darts, everything like this. That's mainly because the only thing that passed over to this side of the spawn is blasters. So they kind of path weird sometimes. They will path up this little here, unless it's blocked off. If you do block it off, like I have, they will actually go all the way around. And this is all based on your positioning. I'll show you where I stand, just to make sure they don't go around all the way. I have to stand right here.
Bullets!
And
I'm
my friend
halfway to
Metal
a
made this
well-regulated
nice
militia.
suggestion with this window. The reason I didn't have the window here previously was because small zombies can jump up from the bottom there, and they would jump through this window. I kind of tested that out on Storm Shield Defense 5. But, I mean, he already placed the dynamo on the wall, and it's not really a big deal, honestly. So, I left it, but probably about 50% of my Storm Shield I'll be standing here. If I stand over here, about 60% of the wave will lose its efficiency, because what they're going to do is they're going to beat against this wall. Even if I stand here, they're going to beat against this wall. They're going to get rid of that. Because these are 130 wall launchers, they're going to toss them 3 squares, making this trap useless, these dynamos useless, as well as this dynamo's going to be gone if they beat that wall. So it's important to understand where your positioning is, as well as where the zombies are going to come at you from when you're standing there. I did notice a lot on Amplifier B here, where I stood really made a big difference on whether or not they were going to come up over this hill in general to go attack the Amplifier. If I was standing a little bit too far to the right here, well, technically my left, but if I'm facing the wave over to the north, it would be to the right. We see Amplifier I here, and they're going to spawn right here, as well as right on this meteor. And we're just going to go down these tunnels. As I was testing it out last night, there was an unforeseen explosion and the entire tunnel got destroyed. However, because I was testing it out, it gave me an excuse to kind of re-put a whole bunch of traps. And I mean, they're very generic. They're all 130 wall launchers. So they're going to toss them 3 squares. Got some of my friends 130 retractable floor spikes in here. And then just these slow spikes, just to slow down the mobs in general, provide the last little boost that these wall launchers may or may not need
Ammo.
to get back into the tunnel, kind of thing. These particular wall launchers were donated by a friend just because they have a bit more durability than mine, and with heavy base plus 30% reload, I really won't be losing out comparatively. You see this on here. This is all set up so that I could reach my entire defense, with the exception of this, probably a couple squares over there, and maybe the back traps over there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, I can reach those. So put base there, I reach everything. Comes all the way through here, all the way over here, goes around the backside over here, goes all the way down. Oh, just like me. Guess I'll start from the bottom here. It's important
Maybe,
to have walls on the downside. Propanes and smashers have a very
Sorry.
similar pathing. So they'll throw propane tanks at the wall closest to the amplifier, and if you don't have walls up close to the amplifier, let's say this was all empty, these stairs weren't there, what would happen was the propane tanks would throw their propanes at these walls, which obviously would be very bad because that's my defense. So it's, you know, just keep a few walls up. They don't need to be anything special. You really kind of want to utilize your wood whenever possible. They're just nice, easy to put up, quick full build, easy to upgrade if you ever really need to upgrade. You see the trap tunnel here. I did have an issue where before I had these bottom set of stairs, it was very simple. Smashers would come and beat against it. which is fine. Like I said, it's wood, it's easily replaced. But the problem was in this tunnel, they would destroy this wall right here with the dynamo. So what I have here is a angled wall. Oh, that's not what I wanted, that is. And what I'll do is I'll come up here, I'll place my base, put my wall down like that, and then I'll just walk back down all the way to the bottom so the propanes don't aggro on me. And what I'm hoping is that they'll recognize that if they destroy this wall, there's going to be another wall behind it, and instead they could just walk out here and down these stairs towards the amplifier. And maybe just throw their propane tanks from the top there, because propanes kind of have some ridiculous range these days with their tosses. But without this wall, obviously everything kind of falls apart. Like, they're not going to come at this wall launcher, and they're not going to be launched back underneath this gas trap. Needless to say, wherever else. However,
wish I could.
there's already a sizable trap here. Just on these squares, we see my 130 wall launcher up there, see another one up there. Basically, they're going to come off this cliff. Some are going to drop down there. I mean, I guess I could...
Ow!
I really don't want to block it off, to be honest with you. I want, because they spawn right against that cliff. Even a little bit next to the walls I have over there. I'm worried they might not path right here, and they might instead just go and attack my my walls here. And if they throw propane tanks at it, then I mean, anything can be destroyed, right? Like, they can destroy these walls. Just from the explosions from destroying these walls, even if it's 2 propanes at once will destroy one wall at 140 here. It's kind of hectic, and it's not something I would advise. But if they drop down here, it's kind of like a little bit of a preliminary. If any gas traps fall in here, they would die if they get hit by everything, of course. I'm not putting a dynamo here because I don't want impact on it. So everybody knows that dynamos have increased impact. I'm almost running out of these. Maybe I should upgrade them soon. But dynamos have increased impact compared to wall darts, because wall darts don't have any impact anymore, I guess. That's weird. I thought they used to. So basically, why I put a wall dart there is because I don't want the impact to stun them. If they get stunned on this square and this wall launcher goes off, they won't be knocked back over here. I don't know why they won't double stack that, or the stagger and the knockdown or knockback isn't stacking, but for whatever reason it isn't, and I have to kind of play within those bounds. So you'll notice I have a wall dart over there as well. That's mainly because if this wall launcher runs out mid-wave, that wall dart can still go off, kind of thing. And then of course I don't want them to walk over top this, as I don't want them to walk too far that way either. Maybe I'll just put a little wood thing there. I did notice in the testing that this got blown up, but because obviously there are propane tanks and I don't want to see why they're throwing it at this, I've just kind of stayed back a little bit here, let them do their thing. Again, they could come down here, but I've placed a 130 wall launcher just to kind of knock them over onto this square, so theoretically they would either come in here, or might even walk all the way over there. But if they get in here, it would be, they're knocked down onto this one square. If they come down here, I tested this out to make sure that the meteor didn't blow it up over here. They're just knocked into the double square. Pretty simple. We have the gas traps. Oh, those are the 106 ones. Those are non-legacy. That's fine. I didn't put too many here, but I have a sizable amount. I did notice that sometimes smashers will knock against this wall if they're knocked over here, so I just put another wall launcher. I think I'm just going to make this a skinny wall, just so smashers kind of pass back around, because I really would like them to be here. On top of that, I did provide additional reinforcement here, so you see all the walls, you see the floors and whatnot, just to make sure that the smashers don't beat on that wall voluntarily. I probably could get in there and put some wall launchers in even. Wall launchers do seem to be a deterrent to smashers
Okay.
for whatever reason.
Nope. Wish I could.
Okay, so positioning on this one's pretty simple. As long as you stay back here, you're fine. I did notice that when the smashers charge, if they hit the amplifier, they will deal a little bit of damage to it. Not as sizable as before. I think you saw in like update 3.5 or something, there was a glitch where they would heavily damage it. It's not as heavy as before. It's very minor. They couldn't kill it even if they wanted to, kind of thing. I'm not too worried about it. This amplifier, the only way they could attack now that eye is over there, where the spawn to the north was covered, is if they attack from the west, which I don't think they will cover because amplifier F is over there. But just in case, I'll give you a brief run through. Same deal, I kind of want to stay back for this one, but there's a couple places that I can't stay back to. So for instance, we come up here, and this, nope, not here. Right over here. It's kind of hard to see once you get up too high, but this is where I'm going to be putting my base. This will cover my entire tunnel all the way to the end. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, should cover it fine. We'll go up the walls. Oh, well, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it'll cover. At the very least, there might be 1 or 2 gas traps or ceiling drop traps it doesn't cover, which I'm now out of. So this is do or die for ceiling drop traps. We have a 3 square tunnel here. I've replaced my wall launchers with 130 so that they actually proc on these 140 enemies. 106s sometimes don't have enough impact. I imagine with the new legacy traps they'd have enough impact because you could level them up to ridiculous amounts of impact. Personally think if you get to a 20% impact on a launcher, that's more than enough. Everything else kind of breaks the game a little bit. But I don't really anticipate them attacking this side. Just in case though, I have it covered. And nothing's, ever since I built this trap tunnel up here on Storm Shield Defense 5, nothing's been able to make it to the end of it. Granted, on Storm Shield Defense 6, there was just 4 of us, and we stood at the front of the tunnel and killed everything. It was actually kind of beautiful, but I enjoy, you know, a good trap tunnel. I enjoy the intention of the game to build your base or play with friends and just slaughter everything. And I do both equally, so we come down here. Very simple trap tunnel. These walls are meant to stop smashers from coming here. Well, so much stop them from charging. It's important that when you see these walls upside down, well, I guess those are just slanted angled walls, but you also put a staircase or an upside, or I wouldn't say upside down here, just like this, but down there, just an angled wall. It stops the smashers from charging at it. But when you do it, you have to make sure that you cover all the angles that they can charge from. So it'd be this one, be this one, be this one. Otherwise, sometimes they might try and charge across, and it's really, really funky. But they'll do it, and it's weird. I don't know if it's exclusive to 130, 140 enemies. Storm Shield Defense 9 had 132s, and they were kind of doing that until I just kind of put angled walls on all sides. Goal here is just drop them in lava. There are some trap tunnels down here just in case I get a full kill wave down here. I want to be able to take out the enemies as soon as possible, so they'll knock them over here, deal a lot of damage, and then there's slow field or there's slow spikes here, so that if they ever get back and don't get knocked down here, they could then be knocked down this tunnel and just stay down here forever because there's double wall launchers. Everything's gonna die. Ha 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 ha. Now this is the middle of my defense, so I really don't want them coming up there. That would be there. So what I've done, triple layered it. in case they're nature, there's 2 metal walls, which obviously nature enemies don't view as a hindrance at all.
You
So I
serious?
placed the stone in the middle, just to kind of alter the resource, and then I placed 130 wall launcher as well, just kind of play off of it. And if there is enemies that come from this direction, I might just build a wall right here. And place one there just for the base. This would be where my base goes. I put a wall launcher there.
Can't.
But I'll put some gas traps there if I really notice they're going to build up. But I foresee them just going around here. Going to use this as a little bit of a preliminary staging area. If they do come this way, they're going to just pop up, land underneath here, and do anything. I imagine most of them will probably come this way, however. They can come down here at least. See where it's at the meteor range. Simple squares. If they come from this way, I feel like there's a meteor here, and that's why I stopped building here, but I don't really remember. And either way, there's more than enough defenses to really kind of deal with the enemies. Down here, this is all based on knocking them into lava. So this wall, you'll notice, is tier 2, and this is tier 3. That's because we're basing this on the premise that zombies will, in fact, attack the weakest wall and path around. And the health is pretty considerable difference, 2700 for the tier 2, 4200 for the tier 3. So if the wall launcher knocks them down there, hits this wall, or God forbid even above it, and they drop down here, or whatever, go around again, doesn't really matter. They'll just drop down over here, come over here. Now I double stacked it with a 130 wall launcher and a 106 floor launcher. Obviously I got the angle of the wall so that they go up, down, and then in there. If they do make it up top there, might be able to see here. What I have here is a stairway like that and a wall launcher, so they will be knocked down that wall launcher onto the floor launcher, and that just, you know, if they take up the tier 2 wall, I'm not going to be able to take out this wall fast enough. I suppose I could have just had it hanging off of that one, but I imagine with the staircase there it would have just been hanging. Maybe I should be able to save some. Yeah, okay. So I guess I made this a little bit too complicated, which is something I generally do often. So basically if they destroy the tier 2 on the bottom now, it's going to destroy this wall that I'm standing on currently, a little upside down slanted wall. And then if they come up here, they're going to get that 130 wall launcher, and then they're going to fly far enough into the lava anyways, so it's kind of like a double whammy. But I imagine if they destroy that tier 2 wall, they might start attacking this, and then just come up these stairs, in which case I need to replace this wall. Tier 3 metal wall. And maybe need to replace that top one with a tier 2 metal wall. Because if I didn't, they would view the wall launcher as as a bigger deterrent than a dynamo on a wall. Like even if I put a wall launcher on this side, it won't fire off because of the slant. For whatever reason, it just blocks it. I mean, it's understandable, but it kind of, you know, it's very difficult to defend a slanted hill like this when they're doing things like that. Was that tier 3? I did, and this is tier 2. Good. Alright. Back to the tunnel. Pretty simple. Gas traps, galore. Floor spikes, wall launchers. 130 wall launchers. I had to replace all these because they weren't 130 originally. They were 106. Yeah, this would be Storm Shield 7, I believe. Still had 106s back then. You really don't need more than 106s on level 100 missions, unless it's a 4-player, then you might want a couple 130 gas traps. That's about it. Down here we have a whole bunch of floor launchers. I imagine if smashes are tossed in the lava, they would kind of walk around a bit. And maybe they're going to walk around and destroy these platforms. You notice in kind of like shallow pools on some missions, if you knock a smasher in them, they'll just walk around and destroy whatever they can touch, or whatever's overhanging into the shallow pool. So I just, you know, I put it to level 3. It's one of the few times I'll put those to level 3, but I did. Over here we have a vanguard defense of gas traps, wall darts galore, and I opted here for just some general floor launcher usage. I always fight with this one wall, so with this one right here. Basically the premise is, you know, they just come up here, get knocked up, dynamo's still active even if they're hanging above them slightly. And gas traps, just, you know, more time spent on the gas traps. If there are propane tanks here, I imagine they would get built up considerably. So maybe this will just get all blown up. But even if they blow it up, there's just solid rock behind this wall, I believe. Yeah. So it's just a vanguard defense being blown up. They might blow up this wall launcher too. It might be protected beneath this this little awning here. But if they make it through here, then there's just nothing but 2 square defenses here. I could have made this one 3 square. Not sure if I made these 130s. I did. Okay, good. Could have been 3 squares on this last one, but I just didn't want to risk it with all the propanes possibilities. Come over here. Everything's geared up so that they come towards here, and what I mean by that, which is kind of hard to tell, is that this is in fact a 2/3 of a wall. So it is the weakest wall out of all of them. So it will have, actually that's 200 lower health. It would have 41 something. Oh yeah, see, so these have 5400, 5400. So the reason why I do this is because if there are any flingers as well, you'll notice the zombies will path towards the weakest wall, which in this case is this wall, 4140. So even if they land on the roof, because all my roofs are double stacked like this, and if they fall along the side, so let's say if they fall down here, they get that wall launcher, no problem. I actually don't know if these are, I think these might be 106s, but 106s generally have enough impact and knockback to knock away the smaller zombies that flingers throw. And then down here, it's very simple. I thought these were gas traps. That's alright. Again, this will probably be more than enough. Put some wall darts here just to be safe. Come down here, got some ceiling zappers to finish off. Got those nice 130s that have more durability. Nice 3 square long tunnels with wall darts at the end. This is protected so that they can't backdoor it. I am worried about them beating against this wall, but I don't really have something to deter them. Try that. So if I put a wall launcher here, then my entire defense takes like an extra 10 minutes because every you know, half the wave is being tossed over here and then it's being tossed back over here, so it's kind of redundant.
What's a build?
I can put a dynamo on it, but that's
Nope.
about it. The reason why I have that blocked off is because it's at the top of a cliff here and they can walk up and then they'll walk around. So we see here I have these defenses on the side. Again, these are for flingers. These are my wall launcher walls, so these are absolutely do not want to lose walls because they're the core of my defense. They can't come around this side and really get up unless they can build a staircase like I can, so I'm not too worried about it. And then of course I have the lobber and flinger barricades on the top. The reason why I don't have these like this is very good reason. That's because if a lobber hits that, you know, one of those purple lobber bombs, if they hit these, it will actually damage the square underneath it as well. So I want to make sure that these are nice and up like this. Now if they manage to hit the front side of it, like really close to the base of it, it can damage this square if there's one in front of it, or it can damage the one underneath it as well. Very minimally though, a lot less than if it was a pyramid. So to speak. Again, there's only so much I could put on the front of these things, right? So I guess I could just kind of do just to kind of protect these drop traps as much as possible. See, I'm overhanging the defense. I have 2 square deep of drop traps, and then I have 1 over here just in case somebody does try and backdoor that side of it. Big deal. That's all blocked off as well, so I'm not too worried about them walking up this side and being against this wall and eventually going around, because there's just more that blocks them off, and the quickest access is right here. There's 3 block walls. Again, they're alternating. I think it's 2 stone and 1 steel instead of 2 steel and 1 stone like I showed you last time. So it's not a big deal. We're almost there, guys. Just keep with me here. Get over to amplifier D. I placed this one in my 4th amplifier. So that would have been Storm Shield Defense 5. And it got attacked once on Storm Shield Defense 9. So I'm really, as far as amplifier G, F, and I go, they haven't been attacked. I obviously, because I just placed it for this Storm Shield Defense. Amplifier C has been attacked every wave. Amplifier B was attacked every wave until this last one, because I's cutting off the attack from the north side. But this one, Amplifier D, is going to get hit. And it's going to get hit hard, and I don't really know how, but I didn't go too far into the testing. But I really did my due diligence here. I mean, some of these traps are... Oh. I'm not worried about these being made out of wood, to be honest with you. If there are propane tanks and they go off, it's just going to destroy everything.
Let's see.
So, make this out of metal just so it's nice and shiny. Sometimes if you hit it and repair it, let's see it. So what we see here, I'm going to take you down the side angle here as I review some of my traps. We do see this barricade here. This actually shouldn't be made out of wood. So I did want them, they do spawn and come kind of up around here. So I blocked off this tunnel over here, and it's sizable. It's one there, there's one down here, there's one right here, there's one right here. And they'll beat against this wall, this wall, this wall, and then they'll beat against the bottom wall, and all the walls have wall launchers on them, and this has a floor launcher on it. I didn't put a floor launcher on this one, it seems kind of redundant. Plus I didn't have the space. The generic goal here is just to kind of funnel them in through this main square, and this will probably be the most trafficked area. See everything set up. This is why I have the wall launcher here, just to kind of keep them underneath the gas trap as long as possible. Tempted to put a wall launcher over here, but if they come up and around and they come down here, that's about 50% of the enemies that are coming through this one side. That's kind of off to the side, so I didn't really want to use another 2 structures on it. In case they do try and beat against this, God forbid I have a dynamo there, wall dart there, and then I have a wall here, because these are 130s, so they'll knock them actually onto the square, maybe a bit over, and then they'll just come around to do it all over again. So, you know, they hit the wall and then they drop down. That is the goal. That's done. That's tier 2. That one was done. All these are pretty much the same at the top. You know, we have gas traps, ceiling zappers, or ceiling fields. I have ceiling fields here for obvious reasons. They're dropping down. There's really no point to have that damage over time affliction. There's nothing keeping them on the square. For instance, like these wall launchers are keeping them underneath these gas traps, right? So you know, that's why they have the double damage of the gas trap, which is firing off for continuously for about 5 seconds, I think, 5 or 7 seconds. And we also have the affliction damage on them as well. So that's going to be ticking as soon as they get hit. And it just kind of focuses, you know, double damage onto each enemy with the wall launchers. But for the zappers, if they're just dropping down, there's no point in keeping them underneath the gas trap there. They already have affliction from the previous square. So on this side, as I mentioned before, we have the wall launchers, just kind of keeping them here. I debated whether or not I even wanted this wall launcher up, because all it does really is just get in the way. However, I didn't want anything beating against this wall. Absolutely did not want anything beating against this wall, because then they'll come around the side and then they'll drop around the side and completely ignore all this defense. Even here, like, they won't drop down. If they get through the triple barricade over here, they wouldn't drop down. They would just go over the top there, beat against those walls, and then keep going down if it was a smasher. So I built a handy dandy open kill tunnel, and this is also handy for flingers, because flingers will throw them over your defenses but not fully to the amplifier, because it's a big fall, and I don't know, I guess they take fall damage to some degree. For whatever reason, I noticed they were beating against the sides and coming down their own way, and that was obviously not conducive to a defensive strategy. So I opened up the roof here, and what the zombies will do, they'll view it as the easiest path because there's no walls between this and my amplifier, or at least there's the fewest amount of walls, so they will beat against it. But this time they don't have to, so they'll just drop down. Assuming they get past the wall launchers and everything there, that would probably just kill any kind of flinger zombie. They would then get down here with another wall launcher. I'm just keeping them on the square as much as possible, giving, you know, time for my other traps that don't have as quick reload as the wall launchers. They drop down here. Now, this is kind of an odd one that most people probably wouldn't recognize. These are a wall launcher that knocks them underneath the gas trap. And I want them to spend as least amount of time on this as possible, because if it's a smasher, they might actually beat against this wall. And then come down here. Through the wall, I mean. So I wanted them, you know, flinged underneath this gas trap. Anything that's coming down here is going to get hit by these. And it's the same exact model. It has the open concept, 2 layers up over there as well, I'll show you. But you just knock it on here and then they come down here. This one has a bit of a longer defense because the storm shield's right here and you can't build over this. I built this out of wood just because it's easily repaired and it's easy to put up again, and it's probably going to be destroyed anyways because these are 140 enemies, so I didn't worry about it too much. These sides I do make out of metal and stone. And this is what I'm talking about with the smashers. If you don't cover every way they come from with the angled walls, what they're going to do is they're going to end up charging anyways. And because they're already in this tunnel, if they charge, they're going to take out this wall launcher and that wall with the wall dynamo. And I really didn't want that because this wall with 2 wall launchers is probably my last line of defense, viable defense, because it really keeps the enemy on top and underneath this gas trap. Well, I mean, this gas trap won't go off until this wall goes down, but that wall launcher won't fire off until that wall goes down too, so it's kind of a win-win. And this dynamo will actually go off, and same with the floor spikes underneath that wooden wall. Those will go off as well, so it's kind of a win-win-win. And even if a smasher does get through and they start charging at a wall, which the only walls they would charge at are these side walls or these wooden walls. If they charge at the wooden walls, they'll fall into the lava and it's a happy day. If they charge at the side walls, it's not a happy day. We do see wall launchers on the top here if they do ever get a path around. The only time they would path around if I was too lazy to put up these wooden walls on the backside, in which case they would go for those wall launchers on the top side because it is one of the last lines of the defense for that storm shield. Here we see an abundance of flinger bumpers. Now we see them stop right here, but that's only because I actually triple layered it. That's because this is my main defense right here. This is where I see about 90% of the enemies coming through. So I really wanted to protect these as much as possible. About halfway through the wave, I probably will need to replace some of these wall launchers. They will run out. I can't really help that. It's, it's just what it is. Positioning wise, I have to stand right here if I want any of the lobbers or flingers to just come to me. You'll see it in my defense. You can watch it live on Twitch, or I'll put it up on YouTube as well. If a flinger or lobber throws anybody on top here, there's so many layers that if I fire my gun underneath, it will draw their aggro, and then they'll also recognize that if they come down here, you'll notice I have the layer on the bottom. I also have another layer on the inside here, as well as gas traps for smashers. Smashers just destroy everything on this base. But they'll come down here, and you'll notice that there's not a wall here. The only thing that's protecting the storm shield here is in fact this wooden, or this stone wall. So they'll come down here, and I can easily shoot them because they're just flinger zombies. Or I could just let them come to this wall launch, or the floor launcher, and be floor launched underneath this gas trap and die. Now the big thing here is that this wooden wall, which it's kind of hard to see, but it's just a 1/3 wall, has to be put up. Same with on the side here, just so they don't attack this side, or just climb up here and then walk around, because what they can do is they can walk up along the sides of these and then onto the next one and then down to the storm shield unhindered. Which is why, of course, I have this here so they don't walk on top of that unhindered, and that the majority of them are all just coming from one way to the east. As far as defenses inside go, it's all fairly generic. I have a double set up on retractable floor spikes at the end just to kill anything that's there, just for smashers purposes. If they get knocked over there, they might just think, oh, I'll just beat against this wall anyways. It's here, right? Everything's pretty generic. We have electric fields with gas traps on the end. Anything that comes into the tunnel dies. Nothing makes it even halfway through, so I'm not worried about replacing things on this side, but it's there just in case I get an extra large wave at any point in time. This one's attacked ever since I placed it. This is amplifier E for me. I placed it kind of late in the defense. I was really focused on the north side of my defense for a while. And then once I placed the lava pit one, then I decided I would place this one as well. Finally, last but not least, amplifier A doesn't get attacked, so this is last but not least. We have amplifier H, and this is probably the biggest one positioning wise. You have to stand right here. Flingers will toss zombies at you, and they can in fact aim for this giant hole in between the walls, and they'll fall down and they'll fall into the thing. So all you have to do is just stand here and shoot things. If I remember right, there should be a propane wave. So what we're gonna see here is a lot of propane tanks. You don't want to build them up too much, so I have the 3 square one here. I am going to place the gas trap here. I'm placing 106s here because they have an increased effect duration on them, which is what I want the most at the start of my tunnel. The damage is pretty far off from my 130s. And most people say, oh, well, the damage, but well, when they're walking through here, like, you notice that I don't have a lot of crowd control on these squares, especially these squares down here. So that's a solid 5 seconds that my 130s just can't touch them, and the damage ends up being a little bit higher on the 106s because they are full legendaries. If I just let them walk forward. So we see that here, and the only crowd control I really have is this wall launcher, and everything else is meant to be they walk forward. And then this is really where I first start crowd controlling them majorly. And that's because I want to really hamper the amount of propane tanks that make it to the end right here. Because once they make it right here, that's when, they're in position to kind of throw their propane tanks at me if they see me. So I want them crowd controlled as much as possible so they don't really get an opportunity to throw their propane tanks. We'll see wall launcher right here so that they don't attack it. If there's smashers and there's a wall launcher right there, sometimes they'll just path around. God forbid they start attacking this one. I'm gonna replace this wall actually. Okay, we're almost there, guys. I know this is a lengthy review, so I appreciate your patience. And of course we have this here. This is the only, these, I forgot to mention, these are really the only places. Wherever they can walk up, wherever you can walk up is wherever they can walk up as well. So just keep an eye on those. Put some wall launchers on it. If it's a time defense, you know, you really don't mind a wall launcher being used all the time because, well, I mean, for obvious reasons, it's just going to keep the enemy back over and over and over again. And the only enemies that'll path around and start beating on those is mist monsters. So, you know, you're stopping the flow of mist monsters, stopping extra flingers spawning in, you're stopping extra blasters spawning in, and you're just letting the regular guys come through your trap tunnels because they're going to spawn to the easiest path. Now this I wanted to block off, but it doesn't seem I'm going to get the opportunity, so we'll just have to kind of hope that... oh, I can't really... Let's try this one, I think. Just something to block them there if they come that way. They can spawn over there, just down there. Past the hill. I'm hoping that they just come around here and get knocked off. Nice relaxing defense that I don't have to deal with. Thanks to
Nope.
a complex mechanic, I can place traps now after my structure limit is reached, and I try to do my best, obviously you can tell, within those boundaries, but for the most part I think that one trap's going to be it. So I'll place my base on that square right above my tunnel, and it'll reach everything. Like, I don't have to place gas traps down here. Everything just dies before they even get to the tunnel. I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, the biggest problem is the flingers on this one. There is one part of the defense I forgot to show you guys, and I'll go back and show it real quick here. You do notice all these are blocked off. That's because blasters that spawn to the east side of the main base, directly north of me, they will come down here and they'll walk up around here, and then they'll walk all the way around here and up towards your base. Kind of like how I showed you on the north side of it. So you just make sure you block it off by A. You'll be fine. I probably overdid it. I think I triple layered it on one side, but I just wanted to be safe than sorry. Now the one thing I didn't show you was this side of it. This side is pretty major because, again, it has that open slot just in case for flingers. If they're tossed in here, the wall launcher will launch them up, and over here, or, you know, just a little bit further in here, they'll drop down. Pretty simple, but you want to reinforce this one side, because if there are smashers, they will beat against it and then they will drop down, because those cliffs are really dangerous. So enforce them or reinforce them, you know, triple layer it. I did all metal on this one. I just wanted the most defense, the biggest deterrent to zombies, and then I put double wall launchers, which seemed to be enough of a deterrent for the smashers. And then of course we have a very simple wall launcher and a gas trap at the bottom. So that's pretty much it, guys, and we're going near on 50 minutes here, but I appreciate you staying, and I hope you guys enjoy the review. And hey, you know what? If you guys do it, invite me. I'll be happy to help, and good luck on your storm shield defense otherwise.